welcome back to Storytime with Mr. Gavin. It has been a while since I've done one of these, so we're going to jump back in with Crenshaw. If you remember last time when we finished off, I know it was a while ago, but Jackson and his family just had to move out of their house, and they are now living in their car. So we'll pick up from there. Chapter 21. If you've ever had to live in your car, you're going to have some problems with feet, especially if you're stuck in there with your little sister and your mom and your dad and your puppy and your imaginary friend. There are many kinds of feet problems. Stinky dad feet, the magic marker smell of nail polish on your mom's toes because she says she still wants to look nice, so please deal with it. Sister's feet kicking you just as you're falling asleep, the scratchy surprise of dog feet trying to wake you up, imaginary friend feet tiptoeing on your head. I thought hard about the feet problem. Finally, I came up with a plan. What's the worst that can happen, is how I figured it. What I did is I took a cardboard TV box we found behind Walmart, I smushed it flat, I drew on the outside of the box and the inside too. I only had 3 markers and one dried out when the cat fell under the back seat. So it was mostly just red dogs with blue eyes and blue cats with red eyes. I put stars on the inside. They seemed like a good thing to think about before you went to sleep. I wrote, kept out Jackson's rum on the top. Mom said, too bad we had to leave our dictionary behind. Dad said, if only it was real rum. Every night, I opened my box and slipped my sleeping bag inside it. When I crawled inside, I felt like a caterpillar in a cocoon. It was almost like my old room, where I could think without anyone bugging me. When Robin kicked me in her sleep, she hit the box, which is not exactly the same thing as kicking me. Unfortunately, Aretha liked to sleep with me, so it could get a little dog breathy. Also, the box didn't help much with the stinky dad feet. I knew we were lucky because we have our old Honda minivan, which has lots of room. I met a kid who lived for a whole year in one of those VW cars. It was red and round like a ladybug, and just about as tiny. The poor kid had to sleep sitting up, squished between his 2 little sisters. Another reason we were lucky was because my sleeping box was just decoration. Some people actually live in boxes in the street. I wasn't looking on the bright side. It's better to have a big car than a little one when you're living in it. And it's better to have a box in a car than a box in the street. Those were just facts. I wasn't like my dad, who kept saying we weren't homeless. We were just car camping. 22. I didn't think much about the cattail windshield wiper for a while. Things were so weird, I guess I didn't want any extra weirdness. Our first night in the minivan was kind of fun. We drove to a park near the Golden Gate Bridge. A man had a telescope to look at the sky, and he showed us the Big Dipper and Orion. Across the water, the lights of San Francisco covered the ground like lazy stars. We were just going to sleep in the parking lot, but a security guy knocked on the window. He told us we had to get moving, and then he waved his flashlight like a Star Wars lightsaber. We drove to Denny's, a restaurant that's open 24 hours. My mom knew one of the cooks, and he asked the manager if we could park there for just one night. He said yes, and even let us have some pancakes that were too burnt for the customers. We had more burnt pancakes in the morning. By then, everyone was grumpy and sore. Only Aretha was in a good mood. She loves pancakes. My parents didn't have any work scheduled that day, so we headed to the public library to kill time and wash up. My mom and dad took turns staying outside with Aretha. It's dangerous to leave a dog in a hot car. The library had air conditioning and soft chairs. The bathrooms were clean, which was a nice plus. I never used to think about things like, is a bathroom clean or not? Whenever I took a bath, my mom would say, here comes Hurricane Jackson, because I made such a mess. One of my favorite bath experiments is about something scientists call buoyancy. Will it float, is what I call it. It can get a little messy, but it's also very interesting. For example, if you drop a mostly full bottle of ketchup in the tub, it will not float, but it will turn the water an awesome color. It will also annoy your mom. We stayed at the library most of the day. The librarian in the children's department even shared her sandwich with Robin and me. She had Ritz crackers too, and she gave all of those to Robin. After that, Robin decided she was going to be a librarian when she grew up. If the animal scientist thing doesn't work out, I might become a librarian too. Chapter 23. We'd only been living in our van for 4 days when someone stole my mom's purse, which had most of our money in it, because my dad's wallet was falling apart. After we told a policeman, he wanted to know our address, so if they found the money, they could give it back. We're in between addresses, is what my mom told him. Ah, said the policeman. He nodded like he had figured out a hard math problem. My parents and the policeman talked for a while. He gave them the address of the two homeless shelters where people can sleep at night. The dads go to one place and the mom and kids go to another, he explained. No way, said my dad. Not happening. Robin said, we're car camping. The policeman looked at Aretha, who was licking her shiny black shoe. He said that no animals were allowed at either shelter. I asked if that included puppies. Sadly, he said. I told him my teacher, Mr. Vandermeer, had pet rats. Rats are especially not allowed, said the policeman. There are good rats and bad rats, I told him. I said white rats like the one my teacher had, Harry and Hermione, were very clean animals, but wild rats can make you sick. Then I told the policeman how Mr. Vandermeer was teaching his rats to play basketball with a teeny ball for a science experiment. Rats are amazingly intelligent. Basketball? The policeman repeated. He looked at my parents like maybe they should be worried about me. Then he gave my mom a little white card with phone numbers on it. Social services, shelters, food pantry, free clinic, he said. Check back with us about the theft. Meantime, hang in there, folks. We're almost to the car when I heard the policeman call, "Hey, Rat Man!" I turned around. He waved me back. When I got there, he said, "How's their jump shot? The rats, I mean." "Not so good," I said. "But they're kind of learning. They get treats when they do something right. It's called poise. I couldn't remember. It's 2 long words. Positive reinforcement? Yeah. Yeah. I could use some of that myself," said the policeman. He reached into the pocket and pulled out a crumpled $20 bill. "Give this to your dad," he said, "but wait until you're in the car." I asked how come I had to wait. "Because otherwise he'll give it right back to me," the policeman said. "How do you know?" I asked. "I just know," he said. When I was inside the car, I gave the money to my dad. He looked like he was going to throw it out the window. I thought maybe he was going to yell at me, but he didn't. He just tapped his fingers on the steering wheel. Tap, tap, tap. Finally, he shoved the bill in his jeans pocket. "Looks like dinner's on me," he said softly. We will stop there, and we will hopefully pick up next week if I can remember to do it. I love doing these, so hopefully we can get back on track doing them every week. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and a lovely weekend, and I will talk to you next week. See ya.